Let the house please be in order. Please stand as we are led in prayer. The gentleman from Madison, Representative McMillan, will introduce our guest minister. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a very special guest. Not only he's a bivocational pastor at Beulah Grove Baptist Church, I think from the gentleman from Leland, Mr. John Hines' community there. He is also a professor at Tougaloo College and a graduate of Tougaloo College, and he is the athletic representative for the college as well. So one little story about Alvin, kind of why I got him up here. And I know, Chris, don't yell at me because I'm sitting here talking a whole lot, you know. But when I moved from, I grew up in a smaller town and moved to Madison, Mississippi, which the town and community I currently serve. I didn't know anybody. Came in. Alvin was one of my first friends. He took me just like we've known each other forever. Of course, a lot of that blood, sweat, and tears on football fields. I'm not saying that we maybe cracked head. That may be what's wrong with me, hitting heads a good bit. But we probably been a few helmets against each other. But he's been a very close friend, and it's been a pleasure watching you grow and what he does, not only for the community that he serves in Leland, but for Madison and Tougaloo. So the seeds that he has left all over this state is a direct representation of what he is as a person and who he is as a person and his family. So I'm honored to have him here with us today.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Lord, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this day. And we thank you for the privilege to invoke your presence over this session. We thank you for each state representative gathered today, prepared to have productive discussions as they continue to serve your people. We ask that you lead them in the way that they should go as they move throughout the agenda set for today. Let it be a working session designed to benefit your people all over this state. Bless them and the areas of the state of Mississippi that they serve with the blessings you see we all are in need of. Help them to work together on one accord for the benefit of your people, so it may be pleasing in your sight. Now, Lord, as I serve your people in Leland, Mississippi, and the students at Tougaloo College, I pray that you continue to bless communities and students all over this state as we learn and strive to do your will with excellence by your grace and your mercy. Finally, thank you for State Representative Jonathan McMillan for his friendship and for this invitation to share in this prayer. Bless him, his family, and his service. Bless this entire body as we serve in an effort to give you the glory, the honor, and the praise. This is your servant's prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There's a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
We will have the reading of the journal. Gentleman from Rankin, Representative Powell, moves we dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committees.
We have reports on the calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of bills and constitutional amendments. Gentleman from Marion, Mr. Morgan.
Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to dispense with reading of the introductions.
Is there objection to this? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, we will follow that procedure. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other papers.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of guests and visitors. Gentleman from Lee, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, we have the Okolona High School. We have the principal is Mr. Michael Watkins. We also have the teacher, which is Ms. Jackie Brown, the 10th grade. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, make them feel welcome today.
Welcome to you all. Gentleman from Lee, Mr. Holloway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the North Gallery, we have my Lee County tax assessor, Lucas Brown. Y'all make him feel welcome.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Mensel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today in the North Gallery, we have Dr. Roberts, her fellow doctors and residents from the Mississippi Society of Anesthesiologists. Please make them feel welcome.
Welcome. Gentleman from George, Mr. Lott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted, in the North Gallery, introduce our tax assessor collector from George County, Ms. Lena Jordan. Glad to have you here.
Gentleman from Copiah, Mr. Holloway.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I rise to introduce the doctor of the day, Dr. Edith Smith Rayford, OBGYN. She's from Terry, Mississippi. Let's make her welcome, the doctor of the day.
Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I got a distinct pleasure in introducing one of the young men I watched grow up in my community of Bolivar County, and he's a recent graduate of the University of Ole Miss. Gentlemen, would you please stand? Let's help him make one welcome.
All right, I don't see any further announcements. We will go to the calendar. Any chairman have an item they wish to take up? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got a special guest. If the Sergeant at Arms would bring in our special guest. Y'all give the gentleman from Walthall's your attention. He's going to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This afternoon we have two very special guests with us this afternoon. I'm going to turn it over to the gentleman from Lincoln to introduce them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today before you we have two lovely ladies. We have in the black hat, we have Miss Emma Cameron from Santa Fe, New Mexico, who on December the 10th, 2023 was crowned Miss Rodeo America. Now she comes from a farming background outside of Santa Fe. She is currently, well, this is a year-long gig, isn't it? Yes, sir. She'll be doing this for a year. But I saw in her, she graduated with honors from Cornell University with Commodity Risk Management Analyst. That's a lot. So we would like to congratulate her. Be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Mississippi that we commend and congratulate Miss Emma Cameron upon being crowned Miss Rodeo America 2024. We'd like to welcome her to the state of Mississippi during the 2024 Dixie National Rodeo and express deepest wishes for her continued success during her reign. Thank you very much. Y'all welcome Miss Rodeo America. There we go. Yes, there we have it, right there. Yes.
I'm deeply honored to stand before you today to express my gratitude for your loyal support of rodeo, agriculture, and the invaluable opportunities the organizations you support provide for our youth. From 2010 to 2019, Mississippi produced 3 Miss Rodeo Americas. That accomplishment speaks to your commitment for championing our rodeo and agriculture industries and changing our rodeo and industries to preserve our heritage and also cultivate a sense of pride and purpose among our young Americans. Rodeo is much more than a sport. It is a vehicle for personal growth, character development, and community engagement. Through rodeo, our youth learn the values of hard work, perseverance, and sportsmanship, traits that will serve them throughout their lives. Your dedication ensures that you are empowering the next generations of leaders and champions. On behalf of the rodeo community as Miss Rodeo America, I extend my sincerest thanks for your unwavering support, and I look forward to seeing the work that you do continue to inspire, educate, and empower our youth to pursue their passion and achieve greatness. Thank you.
And now for our second introduction, we have Miss Emma Watts. The odds of having 2 Emmas, we did not know. But anyway, Miss Emma Watts from St. Stephen's, Alabama, has been crowned Miss Dixie National 2024. Miss Watts is currently attending Pearl River Community College, where she is a member of the award-winning rodeo team. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the state of Mississippi, we commend and congratulate Miss Emma Watts upon being named and crowned Miss Dixie National 2024 and express deepest wishes for her continued success during her reign. Congratulate Miss Emma.
I have been lucky enough to get to travel all over the country because of the sport of rodeo. I'm Alabama born, but the last 2 years, Mississippi has been my home. I'm currently a student at the Poplarville Pearl River Community College. It is amazing to see the support that this state pours into the Dixie National Livestock Show and Rodeo. Speaking from experience, doors have opened and opportunities have been provided to me that never would have been provided if it weren't for this sport. Anytime you support the agricultural community, you are investing in growth of the people within it. So please come out and join us. Enjoy all the fun and the excitement that the Dixie National Rodeo brings to this state. Thank you.
All right, now we're to the calendar. Does any chairman have an item they wish to take up? Chairman of County Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to Item number 4 on today's calendar, House Bill 3031. Call it up, the committee substitute for House Bill 3031. Call it up and make the usual motion.
All right, let's adopt the committee sub. You want to adopt the committee sub in lieu of the
Yes.
original bill, is that correct? Gentlemen moves to adopt the committee sub in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Committee sub is adopted. Now you want to, have we called?
Thank you.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're on the committee sub, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Explanation of the committee sub is this is a bill that will allow home rule, it'll allow your county supervisors to, and municipalities to govern themselves. House Bill 3031, the committee substitute, makes these changes to existing law. So I'll just go to the very simple changes that will be made should this bill follow all the way through the process. Can't hear me. I thought I was eating this microphone. So anyway, we're on line 123, line 123, except as otherwise provided in this subsection. And then we move down to line 140. This line relates to counties only and reads as follows. The provisions of this subsection shall not apply to any county that by resolution duly adopted by the Board of Supervisors of the county and spread upon its minutes chooses not to be subject to the provisions of this subsection. And the same thing follows through on line 194 and line 212 respecting to municipalities. And what this does is this allows counties by their choice to adopt or not to adopt, to oppose or not to impose any building restrictions, any building code, any regulation that the state law, the federal law, or the courts will allow. And if you support home rule, then you will support giving government to the people. And you may tell me that you're against federal mandates, and then you may want to have a state mandate when the local people can govern themselves in this matter. There's no law that prevents them from imposing any regulation, adopting any ordinance or any building code that they want to adopt. But if they don't want to adopt that, then they have the governing authorities will have that power under this rather than being forced to do that or required to do it. They're not being forced to do it because many are not complying with this regulation. But to remove the requirements and allow that to go to the local folks. So a vote against this will be a vote against home rule. A vote against this will be a vote against allowing local folks to govern themselves. Thank you. That's an explanation of the bill.
You yield for questions, gentlemen.
I will answer any questions. If there be no questions, I move for final adoption.
There are questions. Gentleman from Tallahatchie, Mr. Rosebud.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
So I'm just, it's basically a point of clarity. So in this bill, what you're saying is that you're going to take away, to a certain degree, of protection for homeowners. Because when they get permits to get people to do construction, actually a permit actually serves as a level of protection because they should have an inspector to come in and make sure that their work is done correct. Is that correct?
Gentlemen, that is a matter that will be decided and should be decided by the governing authorities of the municipality or the county. So we're not taking anything away. We're empowering local people to impose those regulations that you wish for.
Are you aware that the majority of the individuals that are elected to these positions don't have an inkling about what it takes to get construction done, period? Was that taken into consideration? Or are they going to be given any type of educational standards to make sure that they understand what they're putting at risk prior to this vote?
They have, I don't know about municipalities, but we have the Mississippi Association of Supervisors who gives guidance to our 410 supervisors.
All right, thank you, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, can you explain to me the essence on line, I'm sorry, I moved up too fast, hold on. On line 212 to 214, can you explain that to me?
Line 212, 214?
Yes, sir.
The language here allows counties to exempt themselves from the contractor's license or certificate of responsibility. The entire section above it, which you could read the whole thing if you wanted to. This just exempts counties from a state mandate and allows them to impose their own mandate.
Right, so you're saying basically no building permits will be required by anyone?
Unless your governing authorities impose those building permits, they're not going to be forced to impose building permits.
So that means, what does that mean for insurance purposes?
Depends on what county you live in and what your local government does.
So you hadn't taken that into consideration when you introduced this legislation?
I'm allowing that to the people who govern the folks at home.
So do you believe that buildings built without permits and codes and standards would stand up to an insurance claim?
This bill has passed, and it passed overwhelmingly in this body last year.
I get that. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, do you understand?
So we have 82 counties. All counties are not the same. And this is a blanket bill that was imposed on a county that has 1,206 people in it. Do you think they should have a building inspection department and a whole set of codes? Well, that's up to them to decide that, and that's what home rule is. That's about what exempting ourselves from big government mandates is all about.
Well, gentlemen, I think you're missing the point. When you have insurance on a building or your home, it has to be built up to codes and the standards. So what you're saying is, forget that, bypass that, and not allow that to happen.
There's nothing going to change here unless the Board of Supervisors or the municipality changes it. We're only giving people the option to govern themselves.
So I want you to think about this, and I'm asking in the form of a question. Do you believe when Katrina came and those homes would have been under this same law, you think they would have been protected by the insurance company?
I don't know the entire law. There's a special provision for the coastal counties, and it's probably because they're subject to.
So if the Board of
those
Supervisors, if we pass this and the Boards of Supervisors, will they pay for the claims for the homeowners and the building, people that own buildings?
I can't hear you. Say again, please.
If an individual files a claim, will the Board of Supervisors be responsible for paying that claim when their insurance company denies them?
I'm not an attorney.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm the chairman of county affairs.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, if you yield this with, I'm trying to make sure I understand what I'm voting for. So in this bill, you're giving more home rule to municipalities and to counties as far as building construction. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, I know we have flood control in many areas where we have flooding problems. So I'm thinking about, could that exempt certain building areas to allow them to build in floodplains?
All right, gentlemen, may I give you an explanation for my county, Forest County? We participated in the federal flood insurance program.
Yes.
And by that participation, we are required, not by the state, not by this body, but we're required by the federal government to have a floodplain permit program.
Yes, sir.
A builder comes into the county and applies for a floodplain permit. This has no bearing and no effect on that.
Okay. Now, has the Contractors Association looked at this legislation? They're all for this legislation?
Say
The
again?
State Board of Building Contractors, are they all for this?
Oh, of course
Home
they're not.
builders?
No, they're not for this.
They're not for this?
They don't want local folks to govern themselves. They'd rather impose their will because they know what's best for our folks.
My next question, of course, is if a home is built under local rule, and then here I am, I may move to that area from wherever, Illinois, California, Indiana, Idaho, whatever, and I'm thinking this house is built up to standards of the Southern Building Code, and it's not. So I would be stuck with the problem, whatever it would be. Is that right?
I'm not sure the Southern Building Code, Congress even exists anymore.
I don't know either, that's why I'm asking.
But a county or municipality may adopt any building code in the ordinance they want under this provision.
Okay. All right, well, you helped me a little bit. Thank you.
Don't leave me. Gentleman from Adams, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes.
Gentlemen, I'm looking at your bill, and we're talking about line 212, 216. It actually doesn't change the permit. You still have to get a permit. Isn't that correct?
This doesn't change anything. The change, if any change comes, will be through the local governing authorities.
And all you're doing is letting local governing authorities determine whether a contractor is qualified or not.
Exactly.
And in a lot of rural communities and small communities, in some of the areas I represent, there are people who've been doing it 20 and 30 years. Probably don't have anything but a high school education.
Yes.
And they're as qualified or more qualified than people come up here and get a license. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And the people in the local areas, the consumers, the board of supervisors, they know them all. And they'll still have to go to the clerk's office and get a building permit, but they'll determine whether or not they're qualified or not. Isn't that correct?
It'll be up to the governing authorities to govern.
So you're still protected for your insurance, you're still protected for the codes, and you're still protected going forward. Local people would determine who's qualified and who's not qualified.
And I would advise any organization, whether it be a home builders association or whatever, or any trade, if they want stricter measures in place to lobby their municipality, lobby their county, lobby their local governing authorities, and get whatever they want imposed upon the people.
And this may not be your issue, but in my area with the issue, a lot of these licenses were established, and what they end up doing is locking out local guys who've been doing it for a long time. Isn't that correct?
I can't make reference to that.
That's been my experience.
Okay.
So we're getting a free market where the consumer and the local government and the local governing authorities can determine who's a qualified contractor.
Correct. Fact of the matter is, we have put a mandate on counties that many are unwilling to follow today, which puts them outside the guidelines of the law. We're offering them an opportunity to conform with the state statute.
And this licensing board statewide hasn't always been infallible. Sometimes they get it wrong. Isn't that correct?
Yep, I'll agree.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Bailey. Gentleman from Marshall, Mr. Faulkner. Gentleman from Itawamba, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to say whether I'm voting for the bill or against it, but one of the things I looked at, I was thinking about just sitting here. We had a tornado move through our area up there, and I live in a rural county, and a lot of people got took by people who ran in and did something, and they lived in another state, so there wasn't any recourse to really find them. I just wonder how this would help us in that situation.
It's going to put the focus on your local governing authorities. They can require any permit, impose any building ordinance, any building code that they want to do. It's up to them.
Well, I understand that, and I am for home rule. But, you know, what if they don't have it in place? There's an opportunity for people who aren't qualified. I know people, just like y'all talked about, that have built houses and done things all their life, and I have no problem with them building houses. But, you know, what would happen if they didn't have anything like this in place and a catastrophe hit?
That's all hypothetical. We're relating to this, and we're giving counties authority to do that. They can do that now. They haven't done it. Well, talk to them about it. There's no law that I'm aware of, no state statute, no federal law that prevents them from imposing any building code, any ordinance, any permitting process that they desire. This only gives them the opportunity to do that without being forced into something that they may or may not want. Take it up with your local governing authorities and get whatever you want.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Lady from Madison, Ms. Ford.
Gentlemen, will you yield? Will you yield?
Yes.
Okay. I understand you're not an attorney, and those attorneys that are in the room maybe can help me with this. As a realtor, would I be required to disclose that the property is not up to code when I'm selling a home?
This will be up to the Realtors Board. And so, and they impose rules on you. You have to abide by their rules if you want to be a realtor and a member of their association.
And I believe
So
I would have to disclose that it was not up to code.
And I think that'd be a good thing. And then if you want those sort of regulations on properties, go to the Board of Supervisors or go to your mayor and Board of Aldermen and have them make that requirement in your county or city.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Lady from Pearl River, Ms. Wilkes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Will you yield?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Doesn't this help our local contractors?
I don't see how it has any bearing on anybody. There's nothing going to change except an opportunity for people to change for themselves rather than have the state push it on them.
Correct. And you're not forced to hire anyone with credentials or certifications that you don't wish to hire, correct?
If your Board of Supervisors says that an individual has to have a state license and a state building contractors now or whatever certification they may require, then they may require that. Totally up to them.
Correct. This is a good bill. Thank you, sir.
This is a good conservative bill for home rule. Let the folks govern themselves.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Nelson, for a question.
Thank you, gentlemen. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes.
All right, I have a question. So I understand how people want less government involvement. Building codes are to protect the public's interest, correct?
Yeah, I can't really hear you, but.
Okay, so building codes are designed to protect the public.
Yes.
Okay, so my concern is, suppose we have a resident that goes out and uses a contractor that does not build a property to code the way it should be built, and they end up with an insurance claim that the insurance company will not pay when they come and inspect it. So does that open the municipalities up to legal liability?
I don't know. But if you want that in place, talk to your municipality and have them.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Adopt an ordinance.
Lady from Hines, Ms. Yates.
Thank you. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes.
All right. So if this were to pass, would, hypothetically speaking, if the Hines County Board of Supervisors decided that they did not want to impose any building requirements for Hines County, would anybody in Hines County be able to come into the city or elsewhere and build whatever they wanted without any requirements imposed on them, downtown or otherwise?
What prevents them from doing it now? And in other counties?
So yes or no?
It's not been. I'm not sure I can answer your question. It'll be up to your.
So if this bill passes, you don't know.
I don't know what your Board of Supervisors is going to do. I'm going to allow them to do whatever they want to do, and you are responsible for holding them accountable.
So if they choose not to impose any requirements on building, anything could be built, and there would be no code requirement, no enforcement, nothing along those lines, because it would be left up to the Hines County Board of Supervisors. Yes or no?
There may be other rules that are here that
It's
I'm
your
unaware
bill.
of.
Tell me.
But we're taking away the mandate that they have a construction permit. we're allowing them to choose to keep everything they have now. So maybe you should
Or
be
to do
lobbying
away
your
with
Board
it.
of Supervisors to keep or to add on whatever you want.
But we're giving all the power to the Board of Supervisors to decide what they will or will not do with respect to building code.
I can't predict what a body of people will do.
I'm not asking you what they're going to do. I'm asking you if that's who we're giving all the power to under your bill.
Yes, we're giving the power to the governing authorities, local governing authorities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't see any further questions. The gentleman from Washington wanted to speak on the bill.
Thank you. All right. Help me out.
All right, let me help the gentleman out. Y'all are misinterpreting the bill and you're misreading the bill. The bill is not doing all of the stuff that you think it is. What the bill passed was that saying that everybody that do residential construction had to have a building permit. Now, what has happened over the last 100 years, you've had some of the best builders around in these small counties and cities, contractors who've been building homes. And you had a lot of people that go out and build their own home or build another house for your son or your daughter or whatever, and they've been contractors. Well, the new law that we passed say you can't do that. You got to get a licensed contractor. And I'm telling you that it's very difficult in these small counties to find licensed contractors to do things that you want done. And you want to kill a lot of development in these small counties, then the law that we just passed, he's trying to change, it does that. Y'all, the gentleman that has nothing to do with getting rid of building codes. You're going to have building codes. Even the counties that don't have them, if they can afford to get them, they still can get building codes. The cities can. It's only to change one little thing, that is that in those small counties where people been constructing houses and building houses all these years, they don't have to have a building permit. And some of them can build houses better than anybody with a permit that I've ever seen in this world, okay? So it's not going to take anything away. Ain't no booger bear in this. This is a good bill. And I'm telling you, the chairman kind of nervous about it, but I ain't nervous about it. It's a good bill. It ain't going to change nothing. It ain't going to take nothing away from you. It ain't going to take nothing from Hinds County. It ain't going to take nothing from Madison County. Madison County got the strictest building code in the world. They're going to keep that. I have nothing against that. That's not going to change it. But in Timbuktu, Mississippi, where you ain't got that many people staying, when Granddaddy been building houses all his life, now you tell Granddad he can't build a house. And that's wrong. It is leaving it up to the local people to decide that we're going to operate this way. And you still can have your building code. And Grandpapa would have to comply with the building code. But it's only on the licensing requirement. It is grandfathering in those people who've been building houses all those years. It's not a bad bill. If it were, I would be up here fighting the chairman, but I'm not fighting the chairman. I'm joining the chairman. He's nervous. I ain't. So I'm asking you, don't kill the bill. It's a good bill here. Thank you.
Anything further, Chairman?
I've got nothing further on the bill.
If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 81 yeas, 29 nays, the bill passes. I believe that concludes our work on the calendar for today. Announcements by the clerk's office.
Constitution will meet today after adjournment in room 114. Public Health will meet 10 minutes after adjournment in room 113. Public Health and we'll have a joint hearing with the Senate regarding community health centers at 3 o'clock in room 216. Medicaid will meet at 3:15 in room 113. For tomorrow, Appropriations A will meet at 10 in 201H. Judd B will meet at 11 in room 113. Appropriations E will meet at 11 in 201A. Rules will meet at 1:15 in the Rules Room. Investigate State Offices will have a joint meeting with the Senate Committee at 3:30 in room 204, and State Affairs will meet after adjournment tomorrow in 402.
Announcements by the members. Lady from Forest, Ms. McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have been asked to remind the body that the Mississippi Economic Development Council is having their legislative reception tonight from 5 to 6:30 at the Mississippi Museum of Art, and to invite everybody to come. And also, just want to remind the body that we are having our Medicaid 101 with Drew Snyder at 3:15 in room 113 for anyone that would like to come and just listen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, lady. Gentleman from Etowamba, Mr. Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I got two things. One is I'd like to hold that bill on a motion. And
please notify the chairman and vice chairman.
I will just do that. Oh, yeah.
Lady from Hines, Ms. Yates.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Each of you should have gotten a flyer on your desk yesterday, I believe, about a walking tour of the historic Greenwood Cemetery. If you'd like to attend, it's going to be tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'm getting some additional information about where we need to meet for the tour, but there's information on there about over 65 elected and political figures who are buried in the cemetery. It should be informative and interesting if you'd like to attend.
Thank you, lady. I don't see any further announcements. I will recognize the gentleman from Rankin for the motion.
I move that the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Gentleman's motion is the House stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The House will stand adjourned until 2 p.m. tomorrow.